Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Scott, Skidz, Alford.
And the driver is, doing his thing, driving the truck. For the first time in my career, and I won't say what I was about to say. Probably the last. I pull over, which is not, normally catch me if you can, and we'll talk about this later, especially with a warrant. But the warrant was so asinine. It was a $500 thing. I said, you know what?
It was only a $500 bond for that.
Yeah, it was a $5,000 bail, which is a $500 bond.
Yeah,
I would have been out within minutes. I pulled over, and I'm a little concerned at this overzealous partner that has this AR pointed at me, but I kind of get it. I announced to them that I am unarmed, and I'm going to reach down and shut off my motorcycle so they can hear me. And the driver, who is Pennsylvania State Trooper Scott Soltow, tells me to go ahead and shut off my bike. And he says, "You are unarmed." And I said, "I am unarmed. And I'd like to let you know that I have a domestic harassment, simple assault warrant out of Lower Southampton, Pennsylvania. I'm aware of it, and I'm prepared to take care of it tonight. And I'll pay you for it right now if I can, and keep it moving." And he said, "Well, okay, we'll look into that. We're aware you have a warrant as well. Can you continue to shut the bike off, power it down, and step off the bike? Let's have a conversation." And I said, "Sure." Put my hands up. He patted me down. I am not wearing my Pagans cut. I was wearing a Delaware Pagans t-shirt. I believe it says Delaware Pagans on the front. It has the 1% diamond on the left heart, and the back, they always have a different kind of statement on there. Whatever it is, riot like you stole it, whatever, hell on wheels. So I get off the motorcycle. We have a short conversation. He asked me if I'm drinking. I tell him I'm not. He asked me if I'll take a sobriety check. I told him I'd be happy to. His partner locks the AR back in the truck and is now not drawing down on me. He's the calmer of the two. He says hello to me. We exchange regular pleasantries. All of this is captured on his body cam as well as the dash cam. And the driver, this guy Scott Soltow, is real agitated and looks like he's mad at me. And he said, "You know why I stopped you?" I said, "I imagine for the U-turn." And he said, "Yeah, that's an illegal U-turn you made there." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm still going to continue to do it whenever I want to. You can write the ticket. I don't care." And he said, "Okay, what's going on with you and Brittany, man?" The Philadelphia area has 6 million people living in it. So for him to know Brittany was took me back a little bit. And I said, "Brittany who?" He said, "Your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend, Brittany. What's going on between you two, man? It's getting messy." And I said, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but I'm not here to talk about my girlfriend. I'm aggressive, I'm nasty, and I have a right to be. He's got no reason to be talking about anybody I know. We're here for a traffic ticket. Write the ticket, arrest me or don't." He said he wanted to call the county. He thought the charge was so small they may just release me ROR from the site. I said, "That's fine. I doubt it, but whatever. Make your phone calls, but leave me and Brittany's name out of your mouth because I have no idea what you're fucking talking about." He said, "You and her are going through some problems. She's a friend of mine." And then he looks at his partner and he says, "She's a friend of ours, actually." I said, "Well, that's nice. I've met the rest of her friends, and after saying that to you, I have no interest in knowing you two. Again, I'm not here to talk about Brittany." And he said, "Well, I need to know, what's going on with her, though, man. Why can't you make peace with her?" And I said, "Listen to me, dude. I'm not telling you again." And at this point, his partner is calling his name and telling him to relax, man. He doesn't want to talk about it. And he's like, "No, I got another question about her." And I said, "Dude, ask all the fucking questions you want. I'm not answering any more questions about this that you're talking about. And he spins around on a heel, man, and he's like, don't talk about her that way. And I said, well, and once I see that you're defensive about something, I'm coming at you with everything I have. So now I go down to, hey, would you like to see some of the pornographic videos she sent me of the two of us? I can at least give you some kind of heads up on what you're in for if that's what you're thinking about doing. And he said, do not talk about her like that. I said, how about this? Fuck her, fuck you, and fuck the people who brought you into this world. I'll talk about anything I want to talk about. And I don't know what your deal is with her, but you definitely picked the wrong friend. And he said, I'm not telling you again, stop talking that way about her. So, I decided to get off that subject. He gives me a drunk driving test. I pass it. We wait for the county to call back. The county calls back and says, yeah, you can go ahead and book him and bring him in. His partner says, you have an opportunity now. Would you like to call somebody to come get your bike? Now, granted, I got saddlebags on this bike. I got compartments on this bike that people just don't even know exist. They never searched my motorcycle. They never even inspected it. Like, they never even looked at it. Never gave it a second glance. I make a phone call to the same gentleman who was with me at this woman's work, and he happens to have a passenger in his car, and he says, I can come get your bike right now. I said, okay, come get my bike, take my bike home. By the time you get my bike in the garage, head to the county jail, and you can pick me up there. I'll pay the bill, and we'll be having a beer in about 2 minutes. Scott Saltow instructs me to hang up the phone. He wants to give me another drunk driving test. Now, knowing that it's my right to not have 3 of them done, I object and tell him, why would you give me 3? He says, are you refusing? I said, no, I'm not stupid enough to refuse a drunk driving test, especially when I haven't been drinking, because that's an automatic DUI. But I'm asking you, are you aware that you're violating my rights by offering me a 3rd test? And he said, I believe that I have a malfunction in my equipment. His equipment was a pen. I don't know how that could malfunction in any way, shape, or form, especially when you're not using it to write. But he turns on the light and he puts it in my face and he says, we're going to do this test because I got a feeling you've been drinking. And I said, okay, let's do it again. He puts the pen up, at which time I take the pen from him and I toss it out onto Route 13. And I said, now, if you can get that pen back without getting the traffic going by, best of luck to you, but you're not giving me another drunk driving test. His partner once again interjects, yeah, I feel that he's sober. Let's leave it alone. And he's like, that pen is $37. He's crying about this pen, and then he's playing Frogger to go out and get his pen out of the street, which I found amusing. At that point, his partner says, do you need to make any more phone calls? And I said, yeah, quite a few, actually. And I'm using the Siri app on my iPhone, and it's, hey, Siri, call Bill. Hey, Siri, call Frank. And obviously at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting very few answers. And at one point, I'm talking about Brittany, and this guy yells out over the car, I said, shut your mouth about Brittany. Now I know that I'm into the darker side of things, where this guy is either related to her, has begun her, or I don't know. I can't imagine her having any kind of powerful friend outside of me, because she's literally nobody. And I'm baffled by this guy's response and the way he's getting excited, the way I talk about a girl that I assume he's never met. Once I begin to do that, I start insulting her into a cell phone that is connected to no one. So in other words, I'm talking to a dead line on the phone, but I'm doing it so he overhears me, and I'm getting this guy all out of joint. So I continue through the conversation, and I guess at some point he put in his probable cause affidavit, he thought he might have heard something to the effect of, somebody needs to kill this. Now, that's interesting because I know I'm not on the phone. So I definitely didn't say that into the phone. I definitely never texted that to anybody. I never said it out loud to be heard as being tough. And I've never ever felt that anyone in this case needed to die. There was no reason. It was out of context what he thinks he thought he might have heard on the side of a highway. He handcuffed me. My boy shows up to get my motorcycle. He takes my personal belongings, everything else. He says he'll meet me at the county jail. I jump in the trooper truck, and we make our way to the barracks, where I'm handcuffed to a bench on my ankle, and give him my phone back and allowed to use it while these guys do paperwork or whatever else. I make another half dozen phone calls, and his partner says, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to block traffic for you guys when you would do your toy run. And I said, yeah, I got that on video here. And I'm showing this other cop the video of us riding, and there's his cruiser in the actual video. And Brittany had been the one that was videoing off the back of me, and I was riding in the sergeant position in the back, and she's videoing it. And we're just small talking about motorcycles and the history of the club. And he said, you guys are always easy to get along with. I'm like, yeah, man, thanks. Keeping it short. And this little sawed-off trooper gets up, stomps over, grabs the phone out of my hand because I guess I'm not acting like enough for him, and returns to his desk. Meantime, the sheriff's department from Bucks County comes down. They place me in regular type of handcuffs for transport to the county jail, and he stands up and he says, I want to let you know you're not getting your phone back. I'm going to mark it as evidence. I'm going to charge you with solicitation of homicide,
What?
witness intimidation, and other offenses that you'll be informed of when you get to the jail. And you're going to see a judge probably at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning who will set bail on those charges. And his partner turns and said, what?